Well, the Detroit Pistons have finally done it. After 28 straight losses, the most in NBA history, they finally win against the Toronto Raptors, even though they barely still won the game. But what's up, you guys? This is Jay and GoTo, back with another video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos. And my goal coming into 2024, setting them more realistically, is try to at least make one video a week or sometimes 2 videos a week. I just really want to be realistic. I want to say, oh, make 3 videos a week or something like that. No, but hope you guys enjoyed this one. The Detroit Pistons, in general, as a franchise, over the past 15 years have been one of the worst NBA franchises as of today. As a matter of fact, the Pistons, during that span, are the only team without a playoff win. And not only that, they have the fewest regular season wins and the lowest winning percentage over that span as well. Only teams that joined them in that category are the Sacramento Kings and the Minnesota Timberwolves, teams with the winning percentages below 40%. Look at the Sacramento Kings. Look at the Minnesota Timberwolves. These teams are some of the best teams right now in basketball. Well, for the Detroit Pistons, that is the exact opposite. The Detroit Pistons, they have had many failed rebuild attempts and trying to make playoff teams that have failed drastically. This team has really had no sense of direction at all during this span. Looking at this Pistons team today, as we know, they are the worst team right now, you can say, in NBA history. 28 losses in a row. No other team has done that, and we know that the Bobcats have the worst record in NBA history, and that year was an NBA lockout, but that was a very young team struggling, just simply put it like that. How about the Philadelphia 76ers, which was another team that was in that process during that time, that was losing a lot of games, but this team, they were doing that on purpose. They were tanking. They on purpose got some of the worst players in basketball so they could get these high draft picks. They were tanking. But the Detroit Pistons, on the other hand, are the complete opposite. This team actually has some talent. You know, they have Cade Cunningham. They have Jalen Ivey. They have Bob Bogdanovic. They have Jalen Duren. Sar Thomas, who was another one of their top lottery picks. This team actually has talent on their roster. But there have been many issues for the Detroit Pistons. And one of the main issues I would say off the bat is their lack of shooting. Bob Bogdanovic is the only player really on this team that is a consistent three-point shooter. I believe they rank at the bottom of the NBA in three-pointers attempted and three-point percentage as a whole. This has been really a major issue, as we all know, in the modern NBA, where shooting is such an emphasis in today's NBA, which can help you win games. You know, even if a team is not really a good basketball team, they're still losing. If they have shooting, they still have a chance in many of these games. Look at teams like the Pacers. That's a great example of a team that relies heavily on shooting. Also, injuries. I would say it plays another big role for the Detroit Pistons team. Many guys have been in and out of the lineup, which is another connection of an issue when it comes to coaching. I can see why Monty Williams was probably fired from the Phoenix Suns. When you look at many of the rotations that the Detroit Pistons have had this year, they have been really all over the place. As a matter of fact, the Detroit Pistons hasn't had a single 5-man lineup to play more than 100 minutes this season, and there's no one that has played together more than 9 games, according to an article on ESPN by Tim Bontemps. Also, when you have guys like Jaden Ivey and Sar Thomas, who were both some of the top picks in their draft, you would think that these guys are, getting pretty consistent minutes if they're playing pretty well. And these guys, they do actually play pretty good, but they have both been in and out of the starting lineup for this Detroit Pistons team. When you're paying this guy the amount of money that he's getting paid, Monty Williams, you have a lot of pressure to really get these guys going. And the Detroit Pistons, that shows that they are invested in making this team better, which is a plus. But that just hasn't happened right now with, yes, injuries, but also just bad rotations, lineups in general. It's really hard to really sum it up in a bigger picture. These guys lack any identity. They don't really know what they're doing right now, to be honest. This Detroit Pistons team doesn't really have an identity, and they're just all really just scattered right now. And that's how it's shown when they played. Looking at it, it's kind of a positive to see that Cade Cunningham, I don't know. There's many people that say, well, Cade may not play this good when the team actually has identity and everything's all set. He may actually shrink as a player or whatever. I think that Cade Cunningham will be the foundation piece for this Detroit Pistons team if he can be consistent. He's played very, very well basketball, and he was the first pick in an NBA draft, so the expectations for him to perform as well is high. That's why even now, many people are questioning why can Cade Cunningham actually be the best player on a franchise? Can he actually help lead this Detroit Pistons team? Because, many teams, if you're that guy, you're that franchise player or supposed to be, you wouldn't want your team to be in this position where they're this bad. And especially when you actually look at the talent that is on this Detroit Pistons team. They're not on paper necessarily a bad team. Yes, they may have a bad record, and that shows now. But on paper, their players are not really bad NBA players. I think Cade Cunningham personally can be the real deal type of player, even though the circumstances around him are not necessarily good. And there's a lot of things that are also playing a role into, of course, not just him. It's many other issues that have really been a problem for the Detroit Pistons team for them to thrive. I'm just going to say right now that I believe that coaching has definitely played a big role in it, because many guys don't know their role on this team and many players just don't really fit this roster. And I'm just going to be real as well. A lot of that, of course, stems as well from the lack of shooting that is on this team. So when many people are really putting a lot of this on Cade Cunningham as the best player supposedly on this team, the guy who was the number one pick, the guy that is supposed to be the best player, yes, he does play a role in the Detroit Pistons team. And when they were on that losing streak, he played a big role in it. As a matter of fact, he has one of the worst plus minuses on this team, as well as a few other guys that were in that category as well. Some of the best players on their team, supposedly. But construction of a roster and all means a lot of things. And when you don't have the right pieces to surround you and utilizing all that, it's going to create issues. And that's a big thing for the Detroit Pistons team. And I would say another really big glaring thing for this Detroit Pistons team is a lack of veterans. Boban Bogdanovic is the only veteran that is on this Detroit Pistons team, really. And they need guys that have that experience, that actually have been in the league for a long time. That's what this Detroit Pistons team really needs. And that's just going to make everything harder for Monty Williams as a coach as well. One of the youngest teams already in basketball. And this is just making things worse. This is no surprise why their losing streak was as long as it was. Without any respectable veterans on this team, how are these young guys on this team are really going to really grow and really learn from the best of the best? Like, they need a guy who they really can respect and learn from. And when you look at some of the other teams in the NBA that have grown and become more successful, a lot of that has to do with veteran presence on this team. And now teams that have been drastically ahead of the Pistons are the Pacers, the Orlando Magic, the Houston Rockets now are really good. The Sacramento Kings, you could technically put them somewhat in that category because they just came last season. Teams are ahead of the Detroit Pistons now. Really, when you look at the Detroit Pistons in general as a whole, it's a combination of many things. Poorly constructed roster, bad big men, lack of spacing and shooters, a mixture of no veterans as well on the roster, and you get a team that is going to be one of the worst teams in basketball. And Detroit Pistons, well, now they have that title this year as the worst team of all time. Hopefully things get better. We shall see how everything turns out. But I hope you guys enjoyed this brief video today. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more basketball content each and every single week. Have a great day. Peace.